see you. I can hear you. I don't see you. I just see offline. No. Well, wait a minute. I did. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. It is not. No, I don't see. I don't see anything. Oh, there it goes. Welcome. Stream starting soon. Just came up. For technology-wise, I am about the dumbest person when it comes to technology. My son wants to do the Twitch for gaming because he's big into gaming for computers and stuff, and he wants to set up a Twitch account so he can get subscribers similar. I guess it would be similar to what you're doing. And so he sat down with me and my wife. Now he's only 12, going on 13, and he's like, "I want to try it." So me and my wife talked with him about it, and I told him. We agreed as long as he doesn't show his face and tell his real name because he's only 12 years old. So we'll see how that goes. Things that kids have nowadays that I never had. Oh, that's my son. That's absolutely my son. I was just gonna say you're not gonna eat the pizza. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Has that been hard for you, not eating the bread and stuff? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's awesome because like you're Italian and I come from a Polish family, and like Italians, we eat all the time. And every time we had a gathering, and the grandparents, I mean, it's like a 6 or 7 course meal, and that's all you do is eat and stuff yourself. Okay. I am. It says live. There you are. I see the Queen of the Damned, which is blurry on my end.
Do you mean the
The art, yeah. The Templar Knight just came up. Yeah, that's all right. No big deal. There's some dwarves.
Yep. Okay, we're live. Can everybody hear both of us? What's up, Soft Fantasy? You can hear. Okay, Cass, talk and make sure that Kenny can hear you.
Hello, all. How are you guys?
All right, you guys can all hear Cass? And there he is. He's in the chat. He's in the chat. He's in the chat. Okay, in good news, I have created. Okay, this isn't. Okay, good. Both heard. Yay! Thank you. Katie Lynch is on. Thank you so much. Now, I want to also make sure that the audio is not reverbing on one side. So if you can both hear us clearly, then I think I might not have to sit there and hit mute like every 2 seconds. Voodoo Mistress, how you doing, my love? So we have so far not. Okay, groovy. Woo! Well, Cass and I already talked beforehand that we're not going to talk over each other. So that way, one, there won't be echo, and two, just so that you guys can clearly hear what he has to say, because he is the special guest and it is about him. So what do you guys think about the talk show screen that I have here? I have it set up where it has the Tomb Guardians logo in the corner. One half of the screen has a slideshow which shows, hi Cosmic Joke, that shows some of the figures that they have, including some from the Vampire Kickstarter that's coming up, that were all of the painted minis that you see there were painted by Mary Prophet of Hamster Cage Studios. If you want to check her out, she has an Instagram. They're on Facebook. She does excellent work. I say they because her husband, does some 40K related stuff too, but she's the one that does most of the painting. So all the painted figures that you see were painted by Mary Prophet. On the other side of the screen here, you're going to see, this is going to be my screen here. I'm going to show you 2 busts I did. Ignore the prints. Check your Facebook. I will check my Facebook. What's up, Truth? Truth is one of the people that taught me how to put together my layout on Twitch. So special thanks to him. He deserves a huge round of applause from everybody. Basically, I have this screen here, so that one in between, sometimes you can see me play around on this one. This dwarf is actually a commission that was through the Tomb Guardians miniature site, and this one's going to be a tabletop painted figure. And this is the from Citadel GW. This is what their handle looks like with the 2 hands, the 2 claw clips so that you can hold small parts. And I have it holding the shield in this case because the shield glues up in the front, so I want to make sure to paint the rest first and paint the shield separate before I put it on, so it looks nice and neat. And then here's another one on a PK Pro handle. And this is the wizard. It's sculpted by Jason Wiebe. The other dwarf is done by Jason Wiebe as well. And basically this one is a high tabletop one, also that was ordered through the Tomb Guardian site. So, Cass, while we're building up the audience and everybody's hopping on in, why don't you tell us about how Tomb Guardians started?
Well, Tomb Guardians actually started a couple years ago. My son approached me, and he's now 12 going on 13. We go to the convention here in Columbus called Origins every year. And a couple years ago, at that convention, I run a dungeon crawl game. And a couple years ago, he asked me, well, Dad, how about we 3D print our dungeon pieces and do it with dungeon tiles? I was like, Bailey, that's a really good idea. So I committed to doing that. And as we did that, we started building a bigger and bigger fan base for the game. And not just the game, but also people wanting to purchase the dungeon tiles that we were printing and painting. So for the last 2 years, that's essentially what happened. And then last June, when we went to the convention, we had a really big following at Origins that wanted to play the game, the dungeon crawl game. So when my son got home, he told my wife, and essentially my wife said, well, if you have that much following, why don't you sit down and write the rules? And so I was like, that's not a bad idea. So I sat down and started writing the rules, unbeknownst to me how difficult it is to write a set of rules and how much work it takes. And it is a lot of work if people haven't wrote rules for a game. So I did that, and during the process of writing the rules, my wife, again, who I love my wife to death, and she is not a gamer at all. Now she'll play board games. She'll play like Life and Monopoly with the kids and the family. But when it comes down to D&D or role-playing games, she doesn't do that. But she said, hey, do you have a set of miniatures that will match your game when you play your game? And I was like, no. And she goes, well, why don't you create a set of miniatures? And that's essentially how it started. And that was back in June of last year. So I reached out to some of my friends I knew in the field, and one of my friends referred me to Fortress Miniatures, which is Ben and Jeff. And I spoke with Ben and Jeff, and I knew some of the Reaper artists and sculptors. I didn't know how to get a hold of them, but I knew them. And Ben and Jeff said, hey, we know some people, and let me send out some emails. So they sent out some emails, said it's to see if people were interested, and lo and behold, they were interested in my project. And so I got a hold of Jason and Bobby and Patrick and told them what I wanted to do. And so last July, we started the first project, which was the Dwarven Heroes with monsters, a set of 13 dwarfs and 17 monsters plus a treasure hoard. And we released a Kickstarter last year in November. It was our first Kickstarter, and for the old adage is what you don't know, and that is so true, especially in a Kickstarter, because we made a lot of mistakes. And one of the biggest ones is our pledged level amount was just way too high. So we canceled it early, and then we decided in December. Well, we decided before December, but we decided to release all our miniatures on a pre-order basis, and we did that in the beginning of December, and we had an overwhelming success when we released our miniatures on a pre-order basis. So that then led to back in October, I knew I wanted to do vampires, and actually the vampires were part of that original Kickstarter, but unfortunately Jason had some illnesses and was put back, so he couldn't finish the vampires because of his health. So we broke off the vampires and decided to do a vampire faction release here in March, and that was called Queen of the Damned and Valrith's Vampires. And then also with that, we have a lot of stretch goals that are available in the Kickstarter, and we call them the Army of the Dead.
Yeah, that's really, I'm really super excited about how you did this Kickstarter differently from the last one. I was honestly surprised, along with other people. A lot of us were surprised, like Sci Fantasy, who's on right now, and myself and Nesta and a few other people. We were so surprised when the first set of models, the first Kickstarter rather, didn't fund, and we pushed so hard. But I think part of it was the timing, because there was a lot of Kickstarters going on at the same time and such, and I think that just put you at a disadvantage at the time. I don't know if you feel the same way or not.
We had, I mean, you're right. There were a lot of Kickstarters. That was one of the things. The pledge levels were another mistake. There were too many pledge levels. Being our first, I thought people would want a lot of variety for the different pledge levels, and that wasn't the case. And as people can go now and review, I've really cut it down. There's 3 pledge levels in this one. There's an a la carte level, a heroes level, essentially where you get the whole faction, and then an all-in where somebody can pledge and get our entire catalog plus all the stretch goals, so that are going to become available. So I wanted to make it a lot easier for people this time.
Oh yeah, no, that's appreciated. I also love how you did, and you might have said it and I didn't hear you, but I also love how you have one. I don't know if you wanted to mention this or not, but one of the things is he did lessen the amount of pledge levels there's this really awesome pledge level where there is the first pledge level is where you do it pay what was it $7 a figure, like you basically pledge every $7 you pledge can pay for one figure, it is, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
You can get as many figures you want in the a la carte level. For $7 you can get one figure, or just pick out as many figures you want, and you get as many figures as you want at $7 each.
yeah, that's that. I mean, that's not a bad deal at all, guys. So that, I mean, and then that allows, and then the other cool thing is this time, and I know that the reason why the first time that it was 25 grand was because you were wanting to get the production done for, what was it, 34 models or something like that?
It was 38 models that we had that was 38 projected models in that particular Kickstarter campaign, but yes.
Right, and then you need a production for that. Now you only need for just the vampires. So now the goal is $5,000 this time, right?
That's correct. That's the initial level is $5,000.
Yeah, so that's not bad at all. I think that will be a lot easier to obtain. And so I think that's going to go much better. And I'm really looking forward to this. These vampire minis, let me show you, since most of you are on, is super duper cool. So I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to put this aside so that I can show you, because I was sitting here working on this one, because I am trying to knock it out, because I have a convention this weekend. I have 3 conventions this month. Nuts, I know. So I'm going to sneaky peekies. Some of you already saw this on, I believe it was the Tuesday before's show.
Yep.
Yeah, and we sneaky peeked some of these, and the 6 of these. Now we're going to show them again for those who weren't here last time, and also mark on your calendars. We got tonight's show, but mark your calendars because Snickernack Studios will be also doing a show with Cass to celebrate the opening day of the Kickstarter. Is that correct?
Yes, we're doing that on December 12th at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock Pacific.
6 o'clock Pacific. Yep, that's right. So let me shout out Snickernack so that people know where their channel is, so that you guys can hop on the 12th. All right, so mark your calendars on that. And she's got the same minis, or she gets some different ones too, maybe.
If you want me to be honest, I'm not sure what I sent her and what I sent you.
That's okay.
I've been so busy painting and talking and doing interviews, and I did 3 interviews today and painting. I can't remember what I've sent what people. So. Wow.
Yep. No, I understand. I'm sorry about that. I think some of them probably are, might be different, but definitely either way, be there. There's going to be giveaways and stuff, so it's going to be super fun. And first one I'm going to show you here, this one is the Vampire Female Mage. Is it Nazera? Is that how you say the name?
Yes.
Okay, Nazera the Soul Reaper. Let's see if we can make the camera behave and fuck us. And it was sculpted by Jason Wiebe. Actually, all 6 of these here that I have were all sculpted by Jason Wiebe. And he's an amazing sculptor anyway, so I mean, of course you want the stuff that he did.
Yeah, all the vampires, the vampire heroes were sculpted by Jason, and all the monsters or the stretch goals for the monsters were sculpted by Bobby.
Oh, yeah. And I'm really excited, too, about the add-ons. Do you want to tell everybody about the add-on options? Are they only going to be available through certain stretch goals, or?
Well, the way the add-ons work, a little different than what we did last time. For the stretch goals, we'll start at the stretch goals. For a pledge of $70, you get the 10 vampires, and on top of that, every stretch goal that's hit, you get you get that many. That's for the stretch goal. So there are roughly, I believe, 7. What is it? I got to do my math now. There's roughly 11 additional stretch goals, so you could get a set of 21 if we hit every stretch goal, or if we go beyond that, we'll have more sculpts or more miniatures sculpted. But the add-ons, what we did for the add-ons is I decided to do something different this time than last time. Instead of offering miniatures as add-ons, I decided to do accessory pieces, and one of the accessory pieces is a mausoleum.
Oh, I saw that. I need that in my life.
The mausoleum was sculpted by Patrick Keith, and it's up on the site. If you go to the Kickstarter and review the Kickstarter, it's on there and you can see it. And then we have other accessory pieces as stretch goals that are free. One of the stretch goals is the coffins, which is a set of 3 different coffins. I believe that's the 10th, one of the levels, 10 or 15, the $15,000 level is a set of coffins. There's a sarcophagus in there, and then a set of tombstones, 6 tombstones that you can get. But my thoughts were, instead of having add-ons as or instead of having miniatures as add-ons, let's do accessory pieces instead. And then when every stretch goal is hit, that particular miniature, so if you want, say the first one I believe is a skeleton with an axe. If you want a second or a third miniature, you can purchase that miniature for $7 and get a second or third miniature of that particular sculpt.
Yeah, and then also too, the retail price on them when they come out for retail will be $8.75. Is that correct?
Yeah, for those for the vampires, that's correct.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
And you're getting them for $7.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really not a bad deal at all. Howdy, Hypno. How are you? So right now, what I'm showing while he was speaking is the vampire female cleric, and there's actually a painted photo by a photo of one painted by Mary Prophet. All of the painted models that you see in the slideshow were all painted by Mary Prophet of Hamster Cage Studios. Yeah, you got it back there. I mean, especially when every $7 allows you to purchase one model. That's kind of no-brainer. Because with a lot of the Kickstarters, some of them, they have it where you have to buy, like, let's say, for example, with games, you have to buy the whole game with all the models and this and that, and you pay over $100. And then out of all of it, you sat there and you paid all that money just to sit there and get, like, 4 models, or, because you liked only a certain amount of models, whatever the case may be. And meanwhile, with this one really pinpoints and is a lot more specific.
And one thing that most people aren't aware of with our models, because we have such high quality and high detail on our figures, and that's one of the things when I originally spoke with Jason and Bobby and Patrick, I told them all that I wanted to have a high quality and especially high detail on our miniatures, because they're all cast out of metal or pewter. We offer a 5-year guarantee on all our miniatures. So what that means, if someone breaks our figure between now and then, all they have to do is mail it back to me and I'll replace it.
That's so awesome. Like, I mean, granted, just about all other miniature manufacturers, if there is an actual defect in the model, all you have to do is email them and they're good about, mailing you a new one or new part, whatever the case may be. But you're actually putting a guarantee on your models, and if someone breaks it, you just replace it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just mail it to me and we'll replace it.
I mean, that's really good service. And then if you want, please type in where people would get in contact with you should that arise, since people are already ordering from your site and such. Here's the Vampire Queen, Queen Valrith. Yeah, right, exactly. A 5-year guarantee, that's unheard of. Yeah, that really sets you apart, I believe. Queen Valrith, and then after you type in your the site, the email, whichever you want for people to contact you. Okay. Let's talk about the Vampire Queen, because there's a story behind why the Vampire Queen here looks the way she does. So tell us the story about that.
Well, the story behind the Vampire Queen is what Lynn is holding up now. If you look at it, she is in a wedding dress. That's what we want. That's what I wanted to sculpt her at. My wife has been a very, very supportive of this whole campaign of creating a game and creating miniatures, and been very forthcoming and helping me, and very much supportive. So one of the things I wanted to do is to thank her. And so I asked her in the beginning, I was like, she knows the different factions of the miniatures that we're releasing here this year and next year, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But she said that she wanted to be a vampire. And I was like, well, why do you want to be a vampire? And she said, well, the vampires are in our game that's being released in the fall is run by a female faction of vampires. And she said she wanted to be the head vampire. She wanted to be the queen. So one of the things I decided to do is to have Jason sculpt the miniature with her with a resemblance of her wedding dress and her. So that's actually a resemblance of my wife and her wedding dress. Now the figure, her face isn't my wife, but it's a resemblance of her, and the wedding dress most definitely is really close to what her wedding dress was when we got originally married.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I love the dress. I actually plan to paint my version red, like the artwork for the Vampire Queen, because I just love that idea. So I'm thinking of doing that. Next one I'm about to show is the Vampire Grave Spirit A. Siren the Nightmare. Is that how you say the name?
I'm sorry. Say that again, Lynn.
Siren the Nightmare, Vampire Grave Spirit A.
Yes, Siren.
Siren. I knew that. I was just checking on you. Ha. Okay, we have a question that just came in from Dragonheart. Says, yes. I see expected ship date in January 2019. So if I back right now, when are we expecting delivery?
Are you on our website or on the Kickstarter?
I'm looking at the Defender level, he said. Oh, I think he's looking at the old Kickstarter.
Yeah, you're looking at the old Kickstarter.
Did you put the link up for the old one, or is it for the new one?
No, I think I put up for the new one. I thought I did.
Here's the Grave Spirit A.
So hold on,
let's answer the question regarding the upcoming Kickstarter on March 12th for the vampires. If everybody backs for the he said oops, ha. So if we what is the expected delivery, or the projected, I should say, because we all know with Kickstarter shit happens. But yeah, I mean, I'm just being honest. But what is your projected delivery date?
Projected delivery date is in mid-October.
That's not bad at all.
So the production schedule that we have here, so everybody is aware, and it's on the Kickstarter page. Of course, April, we receive our money from Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. May through August, Fortress Miniatures will be making the masters and the molds. They'll then go into production in September, and then delivery in October.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. Hey, Nakos, how are you? Okay, Nakos said he can't get the link to work on mobile. You're talking about the link for the Kickstarter, right, Nakos? I also searched Tomb Raiders and only...
It should be Tomb Guardians.
Tomb Guardians, he said, and only your old project comes up.
Hold on.
Well, granted, too, you didn't make the new project live yet, so...
No, it's just a preview.
Yeah.
Let me...
So this is the Grave Spirit B, and his name is, I'm sorry, let me look, it is Yarrow the Hallowed, also sculpted by Jason Wiebe. Thank you for everybody who's coming on. Very grateful for you guys for being here.
So try that. See if that works.
All right, try that link, Brian and Nakos. Okay.
I want to click on it too. Yeah, okay. The link that I just put in, I just clicked on and it brought it up.
Yeah, it says project preview, so it should be. So yeah, very grateful to everybody who's on today. We also want to thank some new followers that happened while I was offline. It appears Cosmic Joke is one of our newest followers, the real John Jack and Katie Lynch. So thank you guys for the follow. By the way, I just noticed that when I pulled this up that you guys were on and followed. So thank you very much for that. Also, since you guys are newer, some of you or those of you just tuning in rather, there is currency on this channel now that you can use for giveaways at the end of the month. So basically, what you guys who my Tuesday crowd, you guys are earning yourselves extra credit. So there you go. Like Sci Fantasy is doing this, he could step up his game because when he missed from last week. I don't think we are allowed to see the preview. I just keep getting the dashboard. Oh.
I don't know why.
It just takes you to the Kickstarter homepage. Huh. Well,
did you click on it?
I was able to earlier. He said I'm getting my hour back. Yeah, for real though. Yeah, because poor Sci Fantasy last Tuesday, he waits for the notification to get on the regular Tuesday show, which is 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and he's in New York. So he turned around and he didn't get the notification, and he hops in to make sure everything's okay, and he missed an hour of the show. I clicked the link provided by Tomb Guardians. I wonder if the one that Ed sent me, because my friend Ed Healy, who is from the Gamerati, is the one who typed up the Kickstarter for you. Is that correct?
I'm trying to work with this to see why, because I just clicked it and I went in, and I don't know why, because I had posted the link several places, and it went in. And that's the same one I think Ed gave you too, Len.
Yeah, I think so. We're gonna find out in a second. I'm gonna try and see if I can post it in chat here. Hold up. All right, let me see if
Let's try this. Let's try that. It's the same one I think Ed gave you too, Len.
Yeah, I think so. We're gonna find out in a second. I'm gonna try and see if I can post it in chat here. Hold up. I just copied the message. Hopefully that'll work. Let's see.
I just pasted the same one.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
I don't know. I guess you just got to be special. Oh, so the link that I just posted, did that one work?
Yep.
Well, there you go. Look at you guys being all privileged and spoiled and getting to preview the Kickstarter before it even goes up. La-ti-da! Y'all spoiled. I love that ogre one too. But yes, I need a mausoleum in my life. I need the coffins in my life. And I need the tombstones in my life. I do. And good job on that dragon, by the way, too. Do you have a link for that dragon that you painted? Yeah, it's a different link this time.
He's in the pictures on the Kickstarter, but he's also on the website.
Oh, all right. So here is the last one to show you. It is, how do I say his name? Galen Rilf?
Yes.
Oh, look at me. I said it right. Vampire, barbarian, male slave. And this is in the slideshow, too, the painted version that Mary did.
Well, all the warriors in our collection are, except for the first three, essentially for the three head vampires, the queen, the mage, and the cleric, they're females. There's an anti-paladin. Everybody else are male figures. So you have a Templar anti-paladin, 2 grave spirits, and then 4 male warriors, all of different factions. There's an orc, a Templar, an elf, and a barbarian.
I saw that you had that elf vampire. That's so cool. That reminds me of one of my favorite Ravenloft books. Are you familiar with the Ravenloft books at all?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. So, do you remember the one that Christy Golden wrote called Vampires of the Mists?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite books. So, if I may ask, was that elf vampire based on the character Jander Sunstar?
No. The elf vampire, though, was attributed to that series. But the figure itself, with the sculptors Jason and Bobby, I tell them essentially what I like and what I want, and I let them use their imagination in regards to sculpting the figure, and then they'll send me some renders, and I'll either say yay or nay, change this, leave it, let's send it. So he actually came up with the armor and the looks. I mean, I had a certain look I wanted for him, but he did the rest.
Yeah, I absolutely. I think it's. I love that figure. And then, as Cass said, there's also anti-paladins. You'll see that there are a couple of pictures in the slideshow. Actually, that's the Soul Reaper painted. If you're wondering, a close up of how that one looks. This one's here's an example here, right?
Yeah, the one that's up right now is the mage. That is up, or the Necromancer, you can call her that. The next picture that just came up is the Orc male slave.
And then the next ones are the Templars, right?
That is the Templar male slave, yes.
Yep, see? I knew it. I got this. Yep, and then the anti-paladins are the ones with the flaming swords, right?
Right, that particular figure, the person who purchases or pledges and gets the anti-paladin will have a choice of either having a flaming sword or not. There'll be two different poses for the sword. So if somebody doesn't want to use a flaming sword, they don't have to. They'll have a regular sword. So they'll have two different choices.
Oh, that's even better. What I love about your figures is that they're good to use not just in your game that you're developing this coming fall, but also I like that they are just as good for other games too, like D&D, and even they could even be used in other 28mm games where proxying, so to speak, of figures is allowed. I also,
that's correct.
Yeah, I also like that these are like because if you started painting in the 90s or whatever, or even in the 80s, like I started in the 90s painting, right? And so Raul Partha and the D&D minis, that was the shit to get, plain and simple. And I love that a lot of these characters have that Raul Partha-ish, kind of feel to them, an old Reaper.
Mm-hmm. And that was one of when we originally started, and I started speaking with the guys. That's what I wanted to. I wanted to have that Ralph Partha older generation look with the miniatures. I decided to go with metal over resin because I like the feel of metal, and I wanted to offer the guarantee to all our customers. So I like that older genre look, and like you, I started painting in the early 90s also, and that's why I did it. And all our lines that we're coming out with, we have this Kickstarter here in March. We were already preparing miniatures for our next launch of miniatures, which will be in May, middle of May, which will be a line of female Amazon heroes, a set of 10 plus additional monsters. July, we have a plan to launch orcs, hobgoblins, and goblins in July. September, October, there'll be our Templars will go into production, or it will be launched, which will be a faction heroes of Templars and monsters, and then Dark Elves will end the year in December. So as a company, we've done real well, and we've expanded, and we have a very busy year planned for us. On top of which, we also, all these miniatures, like you were saying, Lynn, you don't have to use them in our game that we're releasing here in the fall. You can use them for any role-playing game, essentially any D&D, Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, board games. They all fit proportionately to all those other games. Because our sculptors also work with Reaper and WizKids, I wanted to make sure that our figures were the same heights as their figures. Now, they're not all the same heights, but it's based off of 28 millimeters. So when Reaper says their miniatures are 25 heroic size miniatures, that's a 28 millimeter figure. Ours are proportional to those, so everybody can use everybody's figures, and they're all the same sizes.
Oh yeah, that makes life a lot easier.
Exactly. I mean, it would be terrible gaming, and I've been there, where you have a dwarf and he skies over the other dwarves, and that's not cool.
No, it really isn't. All right, let's take a look at this one dwarf. This was one of the first original from the first Kickstarter, but now it's up for retail, up on sale at the site. And what's this one? What's this guy's name again? I forget.
Oh boy, you have to put me on the spot and embarrass me, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we can just call him Bob. Everyone's going to believe you.
Let's see. Let me find him. Oh my gosh. He is Alphoric Amberglow.
Oh, yep, that's right. That's right.
And he's so cool because he's got gemstones on him. He's holding a book, and Jason really did a nice job on him.
Oh, there's so much detail on this dude. It's crazy. And he comes in metal and resin, right?
No, just metal. Just metal. We last time we talked, we are planning at some point to release our miniatures resin wise, but right now they're only metal.
Yep. So then, right now, I'm one of the only people with a resin.
Yep. I think you are the only person that has a resin.
Oh, I'm all
besides myself.
special.
Besides myself, I think you are the only one.
This is my resin one. Girl, yes. That's my resin one. So, Sci Fantasy said it's official that we should call Alphoric Bob. He says it's official. I don't know, actually, Cass, if you ever got to meet our Twitch Twitch mascots, our Twitch channel mascots, actually. They're both Warhammer 40K universe figures, and they're buddies. So for the first one, we have Kevin Eldar. I'll show you Kevin Eldar. See this? And I know that the camera's trying to blur because it doesn't want to behave. But he's painted Turbo Dork paint in color shift paint called 3D Glasses.
That's really cool.
Which is basically blue, green, and purple.
I like him.
Yeah. So that's Kevin Eldar. And he's going to hang out at Adepticon with, I don't know if you've ever seen Kathy Wapple's Tiny Kathy. Did you ever see pictures of Tiny Kathy? Well, if you keep up on the Adepticon photos, you'll see Tiny Kathy. Tiny Kathy, I think, is 2 years old now. And so Kevin and you're going to meet Vinny now. Kevin and Vinny will be hanging out with Kathy. This is Vinny, the Spicy Meatball Marine. And he is also colored in Turbo Dork paint. Turbo Dork is basically a company that, a paint company with the main focus being metallics and color shift.
Gotcha.
So the red, and they have all funny names, funny and corny names, on purpose for the colors. And this red one is called Spicy Meatball.
I like it.
So that's why his name is Vinny, the Spicy Meatball Marine. And on his bolters, you see instead of silver, we went with gold because, Italian.
I like it. Yep. He looks really good.
Thank you. It's got to be gaudy and fancy. So, yeah, that's what we went with. He's getting gold everything. And so I still got to paint the base on him, and I'll get to that soon. Definitely before Adepticon, have him finished so that way they can both hang out with Tiny Kathy. And so, yeah, so just for funsies, I was sitting there working on them to show the Turbo Dork paints off. And I'll show you what those look like real quick for you so that way you're caught up on everything that's going on. But this is what the bottles look like. They have that whole cheesy 80s look, which I personally think is awesome. But then again, I grew up in the 80s and stuff. So, but But yeah, so it's got that whole look, and this is spicy meatball, and this is 3D glasses. So when I was showing those paints, I was doing it on the 40K figures. And at the time, I just came back from LVO, which is where I got the paints, and also Chris Peach, who's one of the big known people in GW. I'm friends with him. He sat there and he gave me some extra 40K minis that he had from teaching. It was, like just a handful. He's like, if you want a couple, whatever. So I picked some of those, and I was showing off the paints. And then I sat there and I said, you know what? Like at first when I worked on Kevin, I was like, he needs a name, and it can't be like an Eldarish name. It's got to be some kind of a actual human, basic, funny, silly name or something. And so I let the crew, I let the family here and the audience vote on it, and people were like, why not Kevin? All right, Kevin it is. And then same thing, because of Spicy Meatball, I said he needs an Italian name. So I was like, how about Vinny? And everybody was like, yeah, Vinny. So we got Kevin. That's how we got Kevin and Vinny.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. Got to have fun,
I agree.
So tell us more about those Amazons that you have coming out in May. We know that Patrick Keith is sculpting them, and he's amazing at sculpting women, by the way, especially Amazon. If you've seen Bombshell Minis and Dark Sword Minis, he's done a lot of those.
Well, that was one of the reasons why I chose Patrick. Patrick did, for the current Kickstarter, he did all our accessory pieces. So he sculpted the mausoleum, the coffins, the tombstones, and the sarcophagus. So he did that portion of our project for this Kickstarter. For the next Kickstarter, because he does such a fabulous job on females and Amazons, and I decided to go with Patrick to do that particular faction. So there will be essentially that whole faction, which will be 10 heroes, will be all women. There will not be a male figure in that release. And then on top of that, there'll be other monsters that will be sculpted, and Jason and Bobby will do those.
Yeah.
So a little bit of change in the plan, where Jason has been doing the heroes, Bobby's been doing the monsters, and Patrick doing the accessory pieces. Now Patrick will take the lead role in the collection of heroes for the hero collection, and then Bobby and Jason will each do monsters. So a little bit different this time. And then in July, we've switched up again, where Bobby's going to be doing all the orcs, and then Patrick and Jason will be doing monsters. So everybody has their own niche and their own likes, and I try to structure the figures that are being done to their abilities and what they like to do. I try not to put them outside their box.
Right, and which is cool, but there's nothing wrong with challenging the sculptor either, but I do agree with you that you're going with the right approach by, you know what they're best at, and so you're having them, thank you for that, by the way, and you're having them stick with that, so that way, you know that good quality, you'll get good quality from them, even if you ask them to sit there and do, I don't know, sculpt a booger or something,
No, I agree with you. I agree. They do a great job, and I don't want, even though they'd be willing to step out of the box and do something for the project, I don't want them to waste their time if I don't like it, or if they create something that takes them a week to do a miniature and they send it to me and I'm like, oh, guys, or Bobby, I don't know, Bobby, I really don't like him. I don't want to have him do that, because that's a lot of wasted time for him, because he's busy. He sculpts for a lot of people, and it's not fair to him or his other customers, and it's not fair to me too. So I try to use their strengths and mold them into where they fit best.
Yep, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm really excited about this Kickstarter that's happening on the 12th. You guys better make sure to mark your calendars and be ready to sit there and order yourselves some minis. It's only every $7. Basically, the basic gist of the whole thing is for every $7 that you pledge, you can get yourself one mini, anyone you want.
The only catch to that is the a la carte. If you just order the a la carte of $7 a figure, you don't qualify for the stretch goals. You have to get the entire faction or the all-in pledge level to get the stretch goals.
Okay, that's good to know. See, I should have asked about that too. I just thought that because the way it reads, I don't know if you put it in fine print about that, but when I read it this morning when Ed sent it to me, it reads to me like if we reach this goal, this is what y'all get. You know what I mean? That's just how it read to me. So
he switched it a little bit, and now it reads, you must pay for every miniature you wish to receive. No stretch goals are automatically included in this tier.
Good, okay.
So he added that line after our meeting this morning. But stretch goals may not be important to some people, and they just get the $7 figure and they get what they want and they move on. That's one of the things I learned in our last campaign that we had is people wanted an a la carte level. So I wanted to make sure that was one of the options for them.
That's a good quality. Listen.
But go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I said it's a good quality that you listened.
I tried to. My wife would disagree with you, but but I try to listen. So the $70 pledge, though, it starts off with 10 figures, which is $70, and you get 10 figures or $7 a piece. But as every stretch goal, you get a free miniature after that. So if we hit all our stretch goals, you could have 21 miniatures for $70.
Yeah, that's not a bad deal at all, especially since they're all metal.
Yeah, I mean, that works out to roughly $3.33 a piece. And they're metal.
See, so now we all need to have $70. So save your paydays. That's great. So, tombguardians.com, right, is the website.
TombGuardians.com is our website. If you go to TombGuardians.com, there's a place that you can enter your email, and we will send you an email prior to the launch of the campaign. So just as a reminder, and any news about the company, we send out an email generally every other week just to keep people posted. We keep them posted on a number of things, new releases or upcoming events. And also, of course, the production of the current minis or any future Kickstarters we'll have. We'll send information that way.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's really good. Does anybody have questions? Please, guys. I mean, I know that Cass has been excellent Cass is becoming an expert on doing interviews at this point because he's done so many regarding the Kickstarter and everything else. So, Cass, you did an excellent job today covering everything.
Well, I appreciate that. You're a good interviewer.
Oh, thank you. I do my best. I have a lot of management experience and corporate training experience. So I think, and working in the music industry before the gaming industry. So I think I have all of that to credit. It's definitely,
absolutely. If people have questions, feel free to ask. That's what I'm here for. I love talking about our company and our current Kickstarter, and also what we have coming up in the future, because I'm expecting that we'll have roughly by the end of the year, roughly about 160 miniatures in our line. And that's quite an accomplishment considering we came from zero, not even a year ago, 9 months ago.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you were working on this for quite some time also before you executed everything. So, I mean, fully went into the execution process. So there was a lot of thought put into this. Oh, here we go. We got questions. Yay! Okay, Katie Lynch says, for multi-part miniatures, who handles the cutting of the sculpt into parts? Is it the sculptor, you, or the molder caster person?
Well, that's a good question.
It is.
It depends on the miniature themselves, and I'll give you some examples. The original cast for our Mountain Ogre which is one of our larger pieces, we originally cast that miniature as one piece, so he didn't have multiple pieces. However, when I got him, and I have probably the only one left that hasn't been cut, or his arm hasn't been cut up. It came to me, and then I decided that we needed to cut the arm essentially and have a multi-piece monster because he just didn't fit in the packaging. And in the beginning, you really don't think about packaging, but you become very aware of packaging when you get orders. So, so for him, I made that decision. Most of the time, the sculptor makes the decision and verifies it with me. Hey, I'm going to have this particular arm cut off because it's easier to mold, or I'm going to have the arm and the shield. So the sculptor will do that, and then sometimes I'll say okay, and he'll say okay, and send it to Fortress Miniatures, who does the actual molding and sculpting, and they will say, hey, we didn't cut this particular piece. Needs to be cut off because it'll be easier for us to mold it, and what you have now won't work. So it's a little combination of all of us. Most of the time it's the sculptors, a little bit of time it's me, and then the remainder time it's the guys over at Fortress Miniatures. That was a good question.
Yeah, that was a very good question. Thank you, Katie Lynch. So then Nakos' question is, will you be at ReaperCon?
Good question. Actually, me and Lynn were just talking about some conventions. I am going to be going to Adepticon. We don't have a booth in Adepticon, but we're going to go to Adepticon so I can meet a lot of the people that we use for our projects, such as Lynn and Mary, and some of the sculptors will be there at Adepticon. So we're going to go there. We'll be at Origins, which we will be demoing our actual game at Origins the entire week. So if you're going to Origins, come say hi. We're demoing Wednesday through Saturday 3 times a day, so you can get an idea of what the game we're releasing in the fall. And we haven't talked much about that, but that's essentially a role-playing dungeon crawl game that you'll take a party of characters through a dungeon crawl or an adventure, essentially the old D&D adventures, if you want to look at it that way, where you'll have an adventure to go through, and each dungeon level will have certain objectives to accomplish to get into the next lower part of the dungeon. And as you go, you can increase your stats or abilities of your characters. Or you die. One of the two.
He said, or you die.
So we're going to be demoing that at Origins. ReaperCon, we have talked about going. It depends on a lot of things. My wife is currently pregnant and is due on Father's Day. So it'll depend a lot on the condition of her and how the baby is coming along at that time. So I would love to be able to go to ReaperCon.
Yeah, it's during a hard weekend to travel too, like expense wise and crowded and busy, because ReaperCon for the next 5 years is going to be on Labor Day weekend, and it's also, and it's also the same weekend as 3 other major conventions. That like Nova Open, Dragon Con, and PAX.
Wow.
Yep. But to be honest, out of all those cons, you would benefit the most from ReaperCon. That part's true.
Yeah, I would like to come to ReaperCon and go to ReaperCon. My partner, who is also assisting in writing the rules and developing the game, he lives in Switzerland. He'll be here in the States for the next 6 months. He comes in a couple weeks, but he'll be here for the next 6 months, helping with the game development and promotion of the game for the fall. That particular project has people from all over the world we're using. The question for Gen Con, it's pretty much the same answer I just gave for ReaperCon, because Gen Con is in July. It just depends. I'm sorry, August. Yeah, August. Again, just depends on how my wife's doing and my daughter at that time. Yes, I would like to go because that's a hop, skip, and jump for me from here in Columbus.
Yeah, that would definitely be good. Well, if anything, though, Dragon, we will have Tomb Guardians there in spirit, so to speak.
Yes.
And in miniature form, possibly, because actually, before we were on stream, and actually one time before that, we were talking about him putting in models for the paint and take. So that's something. That's a kink we were trying to, we were trying to get that all worked out and see if it's feasible. So if it's feasible, we will have Tomb Guardians there in miniature form.
Yes, I mean, I love to come to Gen Con. I have friends that go to Gen Con every year. We'll just have to, we play it by ear. I mean, that's all I can say at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a hop, skip, and a jump, and you're able to drive the minis over at that point, not during Adepticon, then that would be good. Yeah, it was so funny. Cass and I were having a conversation, and I was explaining to him because he said, "Hey, I might come. I'm probably going to come to Adepticon if I can." And so I said, "Oh yeah, yeah." And right before that, we were talking about the paint and take. So he's like, "Can I bring the models to you at Adepticon?" And I said, "Well, it's going to be tough for me to tote them back because I'm flying." And then he's like, "What if I drive them over to you?" And I was like, "I'm flying." Yeah, and I was like, it was so funny. It was just, well, I mean, I totally would have done that too, though, because I mean,
it just went right over my head. I'm thinking, well, what's the big deal? I'm driving them to you. You don't have to carry them on the flight down here. I forgot about you. You have to fly home.
Right? I'm flying over to Adepticon so I get there quicker, but going back home, screw it. I'll just walk back. He says, we are up. Dragon said to let you know we are doing a Twitch Tuesday Gen Con Pajama Jam and Friday night. I sat there just so that you're caught up, Cass, on what that deal is. I managed to get some Twitch Jammy Jams for... it was on Amazon. I happened to find it, and they had these leggings, and they were $5. That was it, $5. And I was like, screw it, because I lost a lot of weight, right? And I'm still losing weight. I lost like almost 70 pounds so far. And so I'm sitting there, and like as fast as I'm buying clothes, I'm shrinking right the hell out of them. So I managed to get these Twitch leggings for $5, and I was like, oh great, I need more jammies, and I get it. And so, yeah, so I sit there and I get them, and I was so excited, and they fit so great, and they're so comfy. And then I posted about it, and I was like, hey, check out these leggings. We all need these in our lives, and then we need to have a Jammy Jam party. And then sure enough, yeah, thank you, Dragon. He says I look marvelous. So then Dragon ended up getting Twitch jammies. His wife, Diana, she's not, I don't think she's on tonight, but she's known as Babe D when you see her on here on Twitch. And she got Twitch jammy jams. He said I bought them for my whole family. So yeah, his whole family that's coming to Gen Con, he got Twitch jammies for the whole family. And then Yeji got some, and then Flickster, who's also a very big Twitch, I'll shout out him. He also got Twitch jammy jams, and yeah, it was pretty. So everybody's on that whole train. Yep, there's Flickster's Twitch link if you want to follow him, and yeah, a bunch of people got them. And so at Adepticon, for example, on Friday night, there's at 9 o'clock, there's going to be a Twitch Jammy Jam party, and we're going to sit there and be on Twitch and hang out and whatever, and then we're going to do it at Gen Con too, so that way Dragonheart and his family can all join in too.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I figured it would be fun. Why not? And then also...
Oh, that'd be a blast. My 3-year-old daughter would be right there with y'all.
Well, I mean, if she's there.
No, I know. I just say she would love that. She's Miss Social Bug.
The only thing is, Jen, my friend Jen, my girl Jen will be there too. And guess what? And we sit there and at Adepticon, we're pretty much... We just sit there and it's like we're on a mission from God to get everybody drunk during Adepticon. Yeah, because we're like we sit there and we have like the booze, and we sit there and we like have it put in a certain area, and then we sit there and we see our friends pass by. Hey, did you drink yet? Come here. And then we sit there and pour them drinks, and we just get people drunk. And then like even like some painters, they sit there and they grab their girlfriend or their boyfriend that's at their first convention, and they're like, oh yeah, this is Lynn and Jen. They'll get you drunk. It's too funny. So
That is funny.
I know it is. It's a great time though. Does anybody else have any questions about anything? Tomb Guardians, the dwarves that I'm painting were from the first Kickstarter but are now out for retail. Is anything at all before we let Cass go, and then I sit there and I eat my pizza toppings and my salad. It's up to you guys. So be sure to put on your calendar for the 12th, and I'm going to post the link again so that way everybody knows.
Yeah, but it opens on the 12th at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
8 p.m.?
8 a.m. 8 a.m. 8 a.m.
8 a.m. Yeah, so it's going to be the 12th at 8 a.m. for the Kickstarter. I'm sitting there doing so everybody can see the... Did I spell it wrong? API error. No, don't do an API error. Oh, by the way, Brian, look. I made a temporary hype. It's got Bob Ross in it. Not the best. Anything with Bob Ross in it is awesome. But yeah, I have a custom emoji that's supposed to be part of that, and it didn't get approved yet, or whatever the hell's going on. I don't even know. And then it'll be part of the hype. Yeah, see? Haha. Now everybody can sit there and do hype. Also, for those of you who don't know, like I said, there's currency on the channel now. So you could sit there, and if you want to know how much you got, it's metal bucks. That's what they're called, metal bucks. Yeah, and so right now we have it where you get extra currency, bonus currency if you host the stream, if you raid the stream, if you are following, subscribing, donate money, like put in money, stuff like that. Yeah, oh, look at you. Now you're stepping it up, Sci Fantasy. About time. Dragon Heart's up to 100. And when the end of the month comes for the giveaways, each raffle ticket gives you one chance in to win. And so all of them are 100 each. Do the what do you call it? The exclamation point in metal bucks. There you go. Look at that. You on for 1 hour.
I'm lagging behind.
Yeah, you gotta step it up. You gotta start hanging with us on Tuesdays, because on Tuesdays from 6 to 8 Central, we're where it's at. Yeah, and Dragonheart, thank you for the host.
You do an amazing job.
Huh?
You do an amazing job, Lynn.
Thank you. I try. Wait, you know what? I can't fully credit myself on none of this shit, because just like with you, how, you and I both suck at this whole technology thing, and we always need someone's help. So the only person that I have to credit for the fact that the chat bot is now set up with a hype and currency and all that stuff is Yeji and Clint from Snickernack Studios. Because to be completely honest with you, if it was not for them, I would have sat there and watched. I watched tutorials too, and that helped a little. But they usually end up showing you how to use something that I don't even have, or they have a whole different thing that doesn't really cater to what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it kind of tough or whatever. But yeah, so it's just basically, it is what it is. So 8 a.m. At Eastern Standard Time, right?
Eastern Standard Time.
On the 12th, and then also the party to celebrate with Snickernack Studios for the Tomb Guardians Kickstarter will be at 6 p.m. Pacific time. 6 p.m. Pacific, which means 9 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Central.
That is correct.
Ooh, look at me. I'm just
You
knowing about
nailed it.
time zone. You know, I'm just on top of it. I think it's pretty much because I work in logistics too. So I think I can only credit that. But anyway, Cass, thank you so much for being on with us today. I hope you had a good time.
I had a great time. Thank you for everybody that showed up and listened to me talk about our current Kickstarter and future projects and watched you paint. I appreciate everybody coming out.
Yeah, I know I only painted like little bits, but hey, look how cool this dwarf looks in scales. I mean, I know with the webcam it's kind of hard to see, but on this is the scale 75 metallic, and it's in cobalt alchemy. That's what color I'm doing the armor on that
That's really
one.
cool.
It's a
Send
really
me
cool.
send me some pictures when he's done.
Oh, I will. Yeah, I'll totally send you pictures when both the guys are done. Man, you know I got you on that.
I know you do. Well, thank you again, Lynn. I appreciate all you do for us.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you at Adepticon along with whoever else is here that's going to be at Adepticon.
Absolutely. We'll
Yeah.
talk. We'll talk way before then. So we'll talk soon.
All right, guys, thank you so much
Thanks,
for
guys.
being with us. I'm going to raid everybody over to, I think, Impending Duff is on. So I think I'm going to raid you guys over to him. Hopefully I could spell. Thank you. Oh, Katie Lynch said, thank you for the interview. You are very, very welcome. We love you guys. So I'm going to try and do this raid thing for Impending Duff. I hope this goes through. So watch Impending Duff. He is awesome. And you are very welcome for the stream. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being with us and being here. I will have this uploaded on YouTube also so that other people get a chance to see it. But be sure to share the replay and everything so that people get to see it. Love you guys. Have a great night.